Alright, welcome to another short video on Axway Managed File Transfer. In this video I'm going to run through an Agentic workflow I set up with Claude and SecureTransport ad hoc. So, quick workflow of what we've set up with my nice AI generated graphic here. Basically I'm going to enable Claude to take a command, create a job, create a report or some file. I'm going to call a local MCP server, which I've installed on Claude, which is then going to call SecureTransport Client Rest APIs, send the file to the MFT gateway, where an ad hoc message is going to be created and sent to the recipient. The recipient's going to get a link, they're going to be able to download the file and read the PDF that Claude created for them. Okay, so to set this up, what we'll need is the SecureTransport ad hoc capability configured, a SecureTransport user account with the ability to use the RESTful API, Claude desktop for Windows. I need Python 3 to run my MCP servers, so I'm going to need fast MCP requests and the URL lib3 libraries, and that should be it. So let's have a look at the complete workflow. Alright, let's give Claude a little bit of work to do. So I'm going to paste this prompt that I created earlier here. Hi Claude, please create a PDF summarizing the core features and benefits of Axway MFT. Please ensure you cover Axway SecureTransport and Axway CFT in separate sections. When complete, please send it to Axway MFT demo using Axway MFT. It was a bit of a challenge there for me to see how many times I could say Axway MFT in a single prompt, but let's see how he gets on. Alright, now Claude's finished his job. Let's see what he's reported back. So he's created his PDF, he's done some stuff with Windows, path mappings to pick up the file I assume, and then he sent a nice email summary and used Axway MFT to send it. Alright, let's have a look at what we ended up getting. So looking at the recipient's mailbox, they have a notification that the new file is available for download on the SecureTransport server. If I look there, I've got my email summary in there nicely and links to download the file. So this has all been processed through the SecureTransport ad hoc function. If I click download here, I can download the file directly, or I can log on to the web interface and download, which I'll do now. Log on to the recipient here, which is Axway MFT demo. And we've got a mailbox item there with nice. So he sent a pretty cool summary there, and he's given us a nice MFT overview. Realistically, I'm probably not going to have him directly send this stuff out without checking it, but that's pretty cool. That's a pretty good result. So he's followed my instructions well. He's did a SecureTransport section and a CFT section. Looks pretty nice. Alright, so that's cool. Yeah, let me show you how I set that up to do the scene via Axway MFT. Okay, before I get into the Claude setup, I'm just going to recap what's required for setting up ad hoc on SecureTransport server. So it's the first main configuration page is under settings, ad hoc settings here, and this defines where you're going to store the packages, if we're going to assign encryption to them, and probably the most critical component is the enrollment template here. So the template is called every time we request a new user. So if a message is sent to a user that we haven't got on record, this account template is then called to create the new user account automatically. And what that looks like is account templates here. Essentially it's going to take some variables, and you could be pulling this out of LDAP or single sign-on or something like that. In this case I'm just using the recipient's email address as the email contact, and for the home folder storage we're also assigning the permissions that we're going to assign to the home folder and the storage location for it. Now you can set up various different file transfer flows if you need to up the top here. In this case I haven't, I'm just purely using this for the ad hoc setup. Okay, I think that's it. Let's get back to setup in Claude. Okay, so again, a couple of files we're going to need to run this. And if you watched my previous video on setting up the Windows context menu, I've reused the ini file for this to pass in the server address and credentials. In this case, I'm overwriting the subject text and body text, so it's not required for the ini file. The other thing I'm going to need is my MCP script. So this is an MCP script that I've added to Claude to give it the capabilities to talk to Axway ad hoc MFT using the APIs. So it's using this fast MCP library. Again, didn't write this was Gemini. It reads in some config from the ini file, and then it uses this MCP tool decorator here to tell it that this function is the capability we're going to give to our MCP. Essentially it's doing the same thing as I did in the last video. I'm logging on using the client REST API, creating a draft, uploading a file, and then finally sending it. And it's that simple. Pretty short script, added to Claude. All works nicely. Let's see what it looks like in Claude. So once I've got my ini file and Python script saved to somewhere that I can access them on my local machine, I just need to add them into Claude, or add the Python script into Claude. So I can do that through the settings menu, developer here, and you'll see that I've got a couple of MCP servers loaded. The config file is what you need to edit here, which you can do directly from this interface, or you can do it if you find it in Windows Explorer. And there, so this is my config file. I'll put a edited copy on the show notes so you can copy and paste if you need to. But here I've got my two MCP servers configured, the Axway MFT and the file system tool. And that is essentially all I've needed to give Claude the ability to create files, save them to the file system somewhere, and then send using Axway MFT. Okay. Alright, I hope that was interesting and useful, and gives you some idea of how you can start integrating SecureTransport APIs to do some file transfer jobs with your agentic workflows. Any questions or comments, please feel free to reach out. Thanks for watching.